Hey guys, welcome to the Community Difference Plano. We've got a great show for you today. It is really, really, really hot. It's probably a good time to go on a vacation. It's probably a good time to get the heck out of Plano. We're going to talk with Erin Johnson and Sherri McFadden today of Live, Love, Travel. They are travel experts. They've got some great destinations for you. If you around the area, if you want to stick around here, just try to hold off the heat. But if you really want to get away, they've got some great options for you. So we're going to talk about that, their passion for travel, and some things that might be right up your alley. Also, speaking of heat, if you remember recently, they're telling you to turn your air conditioning up. Nobody wants to do that, right? Energy costs are going up. It's just getting hotter and hotter. It might be time to finally have that solar discussion. We're going to talk with Juan Scott from Solnova today, answer all your solar questions so you can beat the heat, but also not be too expensive on your pocketbook. All that's coming up next. Stick around with the Community Difference.
Tune in to watch our communities grow. See how our citizens, local governments, churches, small businesses, schools, and our local sports teams are coming together and partnering to make the difference. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Community Difference, Plano, Texas, with your host, Nathan Smith, and powered by the Difference live stream radio and podcast. So if you love your community and you love supporting the folks and businesses that make your community so special, then we invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to our pages, and then tune into each show to experience the Community Difference.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Plano Community Difference. I am your host, Nathan Smith. We've got a great show planned for you today. We're excited that you're here with us. Just keep rocking and rolling through the great month of July. I say great because it is July, but it's, 4th of July is good. The heat is not great. We have not hit any records yet, but if you have kind of lulled into a false sense of security for our past 4 summers that have been relatively mild, then you might be disappointed right now because it is very hot. I think I saw that the high in Plano tomorrow is 107. That is not including the heat index. I didn't even look at the heat index because that's very depressing. So it's very hot. So please take appropriate precautions to not boil to death. And you might get some good ideas of places to go. Like I mentioned in the open, just get out of here today. It's going to be a great show. I want to bring in our creator of the difference for a second, Lyndon, and just kind of check in on him. Lyndon had some shoulder surgery recently. Lyndon, how are you? How are you recovering? How are you feeling over there?
I'm doing pretty good. I have been amazed at the advancements in technology, Nathan, and how this is my 11th surgery. So I've
That's a lot.
Started back in '87 when it was it seems archaic now, and they actually did a total shoulder replacement in 2 hours, and I was back home before 2:00 in the afternoon.
Good gracious! So you started surgeries back before they were cool. Now they're like in vogue. So you're doing a lot of them.
Exactly. Yeah, when they keep you in the hospital a week for just a little procedure, and now you don't even go to the hospital anymore.
Like, get out of here. Okay. So you're back to bench 500 pounds now? You're pretty.
No, I'll never be back to bench pressing 500 pounds. Those days are far, far, far away. I just want to be able to do a push-up and not cry.
Well, one step at a time. So.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Anything new for you this weekend? What'd you do this weekend?
Tried to stay cool, which is extremely difficult to do. Obviously, the shoulder surgery and the temperature has slowed down my work around getting my honeydews done. But I'm excited to hear from Juan today about solar energy. One quick thing I wanted to mention, I got to thinking today, and I had a conversation with someone. So, they're talking about our power grid being overburdened because of the population moving into Texas, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of a scary thing because
at least that's what they're saying. I don't know if it's true.
Well, I don't know if it's true either, but I guess we will find out. And here's why I believe we will. What's going to happen to our water supply? Because one thing you can do is you can create electricity, but it's very, very hard to create water. So just something to think about.
Well, because you think about too, like the places that, and I want to welcome anybody to Texas as long as they, keep Texas nice. But something like California, where a lot of people are coming from, they have a lot of water issues, water shortages. Now, there's probably more reason to that than just too many people. Like, we obviously have enough water on the earth, but you're right. It's just like getting it to the areas that you need to get it to. So that is an interesting. That would probably be a good conversation. We'll probably be having Shelby from the Plano City Council, or a couple city council members here in a couple weeks back on to talk about some of those things, because I know that each city has a beat with the government, the governor's office, and kind of understanding where we're at with the energy grid. Hopefully, maybe Juan can shed some light on that when we talk to him a little bit later in the show. So, but that's definitely something to keep an eye on, because it's it is I guess, I don't know, scary. I don't try to scare people, but it's something to be aware of, because
Exactly.
I think the biggest problem is just not taking care of the grid the way, like doing the things that ERCOT should have been doing. We learned that with the in the snowpocalypse last year,
Right.
with all the electricity going, people freezing. Which I'd rather be too cold than too hot. I think, I don't know. You can always put on more blankets, but
That's true.
it's just, that's me. This can be coming from an office where one of our air conditioners is not working right now, so it's already hot in here in our office.
Yeah.
So we're experiencing that already. So, well, very good, man. You're feeling well. We're going to get the show started today. We are super excited to talk about just travel, right? Everybody, when I talk to people in business all the time, I say, hey, what do you want to do with your life? If you could change jobs, businesses, a lot of people that I bring on to work with me, one of the things they always say is travel, just travel more. And, you can travel. But most people haven't seen all of the beautiful things that our state has to offer. More of them haven't seen all the things that our country has to offer. And then even fewer of them have not got to travel the world and just see what a beautiful place that we live, a beautiful planet we live on. Am I still freezing, Lyndon?
Yep.
How about now?
Yep, you're freezing a little bit.
Okay.
Not so bad now.
Okay. Let me know if that happens. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, so I want to bring in Miss Erin Johnson and Sherri McFadden of Live, Love, Travel. Good afternoon, ladies. How are y'all doing today?
Doing great.
It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure to have you guys. Now, Sherri is in our Master Networks group with Juan and Lyndon and myself. And then we got to meet Erin, who is the owner of Live, Love, Travel. And we'll talk about her journey and how she got started in that in just a moment. But I want to open it up to both of you guys, because as this is the Plano Community Difference, what is it that you guys, obviously you love to travel, but what is it that you like about Collin County, Plano? Favorite places to eat, hang out, just the community itself. Erin, you start with sports.
My favorite place to hang out, and it's probably going to sound a little bit like to everybody else, like, oh, okay, but I love Legacy Hall. I love it because there's like so many people. It's like, to me, it's like the Grand Central Station of Plano, like all the people.
Yeah.
You have all the people walking around. You can go grab a beer. You can get sushi or a burger. I mean, it's like very eclectic. I love it.
What about you, Sherri?
Well, I would say that is probably my favorite place as well, is just walking around Legacy West and eating at all the different restaurants that are there. I just went to Haywire for the first time, and that was really cool checking that out, because everybody that I talked to loves Haywire. So that was super yummy. I also went to, it's Granite Park. Y'all know Granite Park?
Nope. I'm not sure where it is.
Yeah, well, it's in Plano.
Okay.
So
where
it's across the tollway, isn't it? From Legacy, isn't it across the tollway?
Is it an eating place, or just like an actual park?
It's a boardwalk, and there's places to eat.
It's the southeast corner. It's the southeast corner of the tollway and both tollways, 121.
Yeah.
And so if you know where IKEA is, it's south of across 121 from IKEA, and there's a lot of different restaurants. There's a big.
There's the biscuit bar.
Yeah.
It's actually got a really cool vibe. The first time I went there, they have the lights, and it's got a bunch of restaurants, and there's water right in the middle. It's called the Granite Park, and then there's also a Hilton right walkable right next to it. So if you wanted to go there, you could stay at the Hilton, and you could walk around the the boardwalk there. So it's a pretty cool place.
That's another good idea of just wanting to get away, but not getting too far away. So sometimes, why is it so nice just to stay in a hotel room that's not your bed, like every once in a while, even if it's like not that far? I think it's because like someone else has to make the bed and they have to do all the stuff, and you just get to lay there and just do whatever and come and go. I think that's probably just you can let go of the responsibility for like a period of time, which is really nice. So
yeah, there's no chores. There's no chores.
Yes, that's very true. We talked last week, and really a lot of the responses to that question has also been about the nature reserves and the parks and rec in Plano that people really like, because you go to like oh gosh, what's the one over there off Windhaven and the Tollway?
Is it Arbor Hills?
Arbor Hills, thank you. Yes. You go there and you're like, gosh, I don't even feel like I'm in Dallas or Plano anymore. It's just so wide open, and you have a lot of different trails that are some on concrete, some. I got lost one time. A friend of mine and I, this was before I got married. A friend of mine, we were walking her dog, and it was like this time of year, and it was hot, and we were on one of the outer trails, and it was so hot the dog is starting to like show signs of death. It was not good. And we're like, we're sweating profusely. I'm trying to look on my map, my GPS. Like, we're usually literally using GPS. It's terrible. Trying to get this dog, because there's a creek that runs through there, trying to get this dog some water. And in the process, I like sprain my ankle, fall over, like throw my phone. And like, we finally make it to water. The dog jumps in, like I'm walking in the water. Anyways, we finally get back, and we're like, that was ridiculous, but it was a really good story. So just know that Arbor Hills is beautiful, but you can get lost there if you're not careful. So bring water. Yeah. Well, let's do this. We're about to be up against our first break here, but we'll talk. I think you can probably answer this time, Erin. Talk about your journey to ownership. What led you, first of all, to wanting to own a business? What did you do before, and what were kind of the processes that you said, I want to do something totally different?
Okay, absolutely. So they kind of tie in together a little bit, but they don't at the same time. So I worked for myself in a way, contract work before. I was a professional singer from the time I was 12 until I retired in 2014. And with doing so, that's the journey I went on with homeschooling my kids and with traveling all over the place. So when I retired, I was very happy to be done with that profession. However, I did miss traveling. And so I just started doing some research on travel agents and decided to go for it. And I did about a year's worth of studying and then started the company. So we started in December of 2016.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's the quick nutshell.
I remember you saying that you were an opera singer, correct? When we talked at networking. So I sing as well. I'm not a professional singer, but I will not do what everybody does to me. Hey, sing us a song. You ever get that? Because it's like I'm not a trained monkey. I'm not just gonna sing. I'm an untrained monkey. So you never know what will happen. So yeah, I will not put that pressure on you. I'm sure you would, but I'm not going to do that to you. So why? I mean, obviously travel because people want to travel. It's fun. But what was it about this business that, like, is this I guess it's kind of is it a franchise, or did you really just start this from the ground up?
No, so we started from the ground up, and as we went, there was a few people that we've known for quite a while that joined along with us and wanted to start selling travel and be part of our team. And as we went, we realized we didn't like the traditional travel agency where people, felt the pressure to book so many bookings to stay in an agency or that type of thing. We wanted to work as a team and just be team builders and lift one another up and support one another. And so that's what we do. We have a great team of agents at our agency. Sherri is one of them. I actually see her as one of our top. She's full of integrity and a total team player, and it's what makes her so great, a great asset to our team. And she's very knowledgeable in travel as well.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we're going to hit our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk to one of your top agents, Miss Sherri McFadden, and hear her journey, how she got involved in travel. So, guys, stick around. The Community Difference. We'll be right back.
Tired of that north of the border seasoning? Thinking there's got to be more than just salt and pepper to flavor your steak? Your brother-in-law yapping that he's the grill master? Here's your solution. Goodness Steak Seasoning. It's a blend of 9 unique herbs and spices that'll have your mouth saying, goodness. What was once just for steak night for the family is now being enjoyed by thousands of families across the USA. Grab a bottle or two today at Ham's Meat Market off the square in McKinney, Profound Foods in Fairview, and at bringthetasty.com.
Welcome back, guys. Every time that's a good friend of ours, Jason Villo, who is in our Master Networks group as well. Every time we show his commercial, I always come back and I have a new thing that I put his seasoning on. And I can't remember if I shared this before, but we had some queso that was whipped up the other night at the office for an event. And I'm like, hey, you should add some of this to it. And I go, just trust me, it's good. And we added some of it, and it was freaking amazing. So if you've haven't got a chance to check some to buy a bottle, very affordable. I think they're $7 for a big, nice size bottle. And the story is amazing behind Goodness Steak, and you'll love the story. You'll love Jason, his family, great guy. So I encourage you to check that out. They make great party gifts, great client gifts, just little things. I know a lot of realtors use them, so you'll definitely want to check that out at bringthetasty.com.
I actually just tried his seasoning, and everybody in the family loved it.
It's good. Yeah, it's amazing.
Good. Yeah.
We don't know what's in it, but we know there's no MSG, no gluten, and no something else. I can't remember. That's all we know, which is a good thing. Well, Miss Sherri, thank you so much for jumping on with us today, and for being a much-needed a advocate and conduit to other parts of the world, a travel agent in our networking group. But first of all, I'd like to start with, other than the obvious, people like to travel. What was it that connected you to Erin, and how did you know, like, this is my thing, this is what I want to do, this is my journey?
Yeah. So for me, my whole just love of travel started a long time ago, but about 10 or 15 years ago, I really started focusing on creating memories with my family through travel, and not by buying stuff, but purchasing travel and creating good memories with my family. And so that created yearly travel for me, just me and my family personally. And then in 2017, I had the opportunity to plan a 3.5-month long backpacking trip all across Europe and the world. And after I did that, I started having people come to me going, hey, how can I do that? Can you help me do that? And so that just rolled me into where I met Erin and got connected with my Live, Love, Travel, and been doing it ever since.
That's a really interesting perspective, because you just made me think, like, when we go on family vacations, you always buy a shirt, or I collect shot glasses, and I don't ever use them really, but I just like them. But
they're cute.
They are cute. They're just, and they don't take up a lot of
They're
work.
little.
They're very little. And but it is I was just thinking about, we went to Florida last year to visit. We went to Fernandina Beach, really, really cool area in Florida, and visiting some relatives. And I'm thinking, like, I got 2 shirts there. I got a shot glass, but it was I remember specifically these pictures that are on the wall of my son that my parents gave us for Christmas from that trip. And I remember him posing for him. I remember just the laughter. I remember, just him going to the beach for the first time, right? It's those things that are the most important. It's cool to have a shirt, like, wish you were here, or whatever. Got the t-shirt, as they say. But it's the memories. And it's funny because even pictures, like, we're going to look at some pictures here from some of the places that you guys have been and some of your memories. But even the pictures that we're about to see them don't do justice to the experience that you got to be there, right? And that's I think what people don't realize or think about on vacation. You always, like, hear people, gosh, I need a vacation for my vacation. Like, well, you probably didn't do it right. Something is wrong if that's how you're feeling. So I'll open this up to both of you guys before we talk about Live, Love, Travel and some of the places that you guys have been and what makes you unique. in general, like let's just say people aren't using a travel agent or travel service, which is probably mistake number one. But what are some of the other big mistakes people make when looking to book travel by themselves? Some things that they may not think about.
Go ahead, Erin.
You.
Okay.
I was just. I
I'll
figured there were a lot of them.
There are. I'll just hit the most common one right now. I'll give you the experience first, and then I'll tell you why not. We had a call from a lady who was crying. She was on the phone. She said that she was standing on the curbside outside of a hotel in Ireland with her family. She looked us up on her Wi-Fi to find us in where she lived in McKinney. She's from here, where I live. And she said that they had booked their hotel on an online booking source. I will keep those names off of here. And they, of course, thought that the hotel would be there, but they didn't know that actually the hotel was only taking in refugees and no longer taking in anybody that was booking it. However, you could still book it on all these online tour operators.
Oh, no.
However, when I would go into my system, which is a system that all of our travel agents can get into, it shows us that it is no longer bookable. So I will tell you that has been happening, especially, well, it was happening before COVID. In 2019, in Cancun alone, they walked over 1,000 families that came to all-inclusives that didn't have a reservation because they were overstock that they purchased online. So that can happen. So those are situations that were happening before COVID. And since COVID, a lot of the hotels that closed down from not having, any income and that they're closed, they're still being sold online.
Jeez. So hotels will intentionally overbook?
Yes.
On purpose? Okay.
Absolutely. So if you can book online outside of the hotel or like an online booking source where you say, oh, I can't find it cheaper anywhere else, those can be overstock. Yes.
Wow.
So when you use a travel advisor, when you're using a travel advisor, when you call Sherri and you're using her services, she's able to make sure that, your inventory is actually there. So what you're purchasing is protected. Yes.
You use the travel advisor. Is there a difference between travel advisor and travel agent? Or is it just some different practices that you guys try not to adhere to? What would you say is the difference?
I would say it's tomato. You hear people in our industry all the time say, we've been called travel agents for so long. We're travel advisors, or we're a travel specialist, or it's tomato.
Yeah, well, I actually like it right now. You said it. It sounds better to me. I don't know.
It does, right?
I'll probably still mess up and use agent, but that's okay. So a lot of travel people that are booking travel, and I probably thought some things too, as far as this is gonna be so much more expensive to talk with a travel agent or travel advisor. That's probably I guess one of the biggest false assumptions. What are some other assumptions, Sherri, that maybe people make when they deciding not to go with a travel advisor when they otherwise probably should?
Other assumptions that they make I think that's the big one. I feel like that's the biggest one, that people don't understand that generally a lot of times that we're actually able to save money for our clients. We can find package deals for them. There's specials going on that we're aware of that they're not going to be made aware of usually. In fact, I just booked a client yesterday. If she would have gone directly to the hotel, I was actually less to just go through me. So I think that's what I get the question about is doesn't it cost more? And I'm like, actually it doesn't. And you're gaining our experience and our knowledge that we can help guide you. We are actually a lot of times boots on the ground. So we will go actually to the properties. We will walk the property, see the rooms, see the food, meet the managers there. And so when we come back, we can say, we highly recommend this property, or they might come to us and say, we want to go here. And we go, well, I've been there and let me tell you about it. And then maybe direct you to one that may fit your needs better.
Right.
Well, and I can share an experience of. Oh, so sorry, Erin, were you gonna say something?
I'm sorry. I'm going to piggyback what Sherri just said. That's one of our specialties is we create relationships with these resorts or hotels, or maybe it's a cruise line or whoever it might be. We're creating relationships with them to benefit our clients, not to benefit us. It just benefits you, so that we can get you VIP basically.
Well, it's funny. Everything that we talk about on this show and on the difference and on the other shows, it all comes back to really two things. One, people knowing about you, and two, building relationships. And so, as it turns out, relationships in every aspect of commerce and interchange of any kind, exchange, relationships are always going to drive a better level of service and connection, especially in travel. And I can speak to just the thought of having some sort of central person kind of overseeing everything. I think I shared this with you, Sherri. We got back from a convention in Atlanta, and nothing, it was an amazing convention, but we stayed at the Georgian Terrace, which is a nice hotel, built in 1911, historical hotel. And, we were trying to figure out how to get there. We were going to try to do buses. We were going to do plane, flights. We should have had that locked down about 3 months prior. And then we got to the point where, like, at the end, everyone's like, just figure out how to get there yourself. And so it was very chaotic. And, the hotel messed up some reservations, and it wasn't like it wasn't our fault that the people that were holding the rooms that had booked the rooms to our group, but it was just like, we all kind of agreed in 2 years, we're getting someone else to handle this. And so I get, especially if you're with a big group, I mean, that would be even more reason to have to use you guys for the simple sake of coordination and ease of just the process, and let somebody else that's a professional do the legwork. Not to mention the destination that you want to go to. So I can speak to that, to not doing that, and what that causes. And that we will be doing something very different next time around. But the convention was great, thank goodness. And we did make it back safely. But it's the last time I want to drive overnight to Atlanta ever again. So we'll figure that out. That was, we made it. We made it. Thank God. Yeah. So we're about to hit a commercial break here in just a moment. But I want to, before we do that, I want to look at a couple of you guys mentioned some places that you like to go. Obviously, there's a lot of different great hotels. You've got Gaylord Texan. You've got the Great Wolf Lodge. You've got all kinds of hotels, lakes, etc. You guys mentioned Lake Louisville is a really cool place to stay in the area. There's some different. I know there's some campgrounds out there, but there's also like some. That's not it. Hold on a second. We'll get back to that picture. This is Lake Louisville. They have like some Airbnb and cabins and stuff around the lake that you can rent. Is that my understanding? This is a picture of Lake Louisville, correct?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. I know there's Hidden Cove, that is a campground right on the lake, and they have stand-up paddleboards you can rent, pontoon boats you can rent. I know jet skis as well. Super fun weekend in the North Texas area for sure.
So if somebody, I know you guys we're talking before that, most of your business is people wanting to get out of the area. But if they wanted to do a nice weekend, maybe stay at the Great Wolf Lodge and then, go here or there, have some restaurants, or, need to rent a car, or maybe they're having people come into town, flying into town to hang out here and do some different things. They'd still be able to use you guys for that and coordinate that weekend as well. So that wouldn't be any kind of an issue.
No.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I mentioned that just because, sometimes with gas prices, and obviously a lot of destinations you're flying to, but gas prices the way they are, I mean, the economy the way it is, sometimes people just want to get away, but they don't have the budget to necessarily go really far. Now, granted, going through you guys is also going to save money a lot of times, which is really cool. And so I just wanted to let them know that even locally, even if you're trying to put together a little weekend, something or another, getting away with the wife or the family, or maybe some relatives are coming into town, going with a travel advisor, talking to Sherri, would be still a good option to make sure that you're getting the best deals and finding kind of those hidden gems even within the North Texas area. I want to go through. We're going to hit a commercial break. Then when we get back, we're going to go through some of these pictures. And I looked through them before, and I'm very jealous because they're absolutely gorgeous, and it makes me want to go there now and just just kind of throw in the towel for the next 2 weeks and travel the world. I'm not going to do that, but I will plan to do that eventually when things are a little more in a better spot. We're expecting a second child here soon, so I don't really think I can just up and leave. Especially if I left my wife behind, she wouldn't really love that. I'd love to take her with me, so we'll have to wait a little bit before we do the international travel. But we'll hit our commercial break when we come back, guys. We're going to go through some of these pictures. You're going to be amazed at some of the options, places that you guys can go. And we'll hear about Sherri just got back from Croatia. We'll hear about that journey as soon as we get back. Stick around on the Community Difference.
The difference is made possible by the following small businesses.
Real property management focus. An unmatched level of service to property owners, investors, and tenants throughout the DFW Metroplex.
Katie Owen, the insurance gal, helps overwhelmed Medicare-eligible people successfully navigate the enrollment process. When turning 65, retiring, and signing up for Medicare for the first time, it can be confusing. So it's important to get guidance from someone you can trust. Katie helps her clients navigate the enrollment process in a way that eliminates the feeling of being overwhelmed and unsure and leaves her clients feeling relieved and confident. If you have questions about the Medicare process and want advice from someone you can trust, reach out to Katie at 972-943-3943 or at her website, www.insgal.com.
When you need a trusted roofing company on your side to help you out with storm damage repair for your roof, call Cook DFW Roofing. Serving Anna, Melissa, Princeton, Prosper, Van Alstyne, and all of the DFW area.
Red Branch Realty and owner realtor Ashley Gentry are true champions at every level. As a top producer, Ashley Gentry and Red Branch Realty truly embody their mission of being your supporter and partner in your personal real estate journey. So if finding the best representation possible in achieving the American dream of homeownership is important to you, give Ashley a call at 972-342-1869. WeatherTech General Contracting. We make your home renovation dreams a reality.
And by
Alan Lester, branch manager and team lead for the One Group, a branch of Town Square Mortgage. With over 22 years in the mortgage lending industry, Allen and Town Square Mortgage have many loan program options available from conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, jumbo, and many investor and self-employed programs. So if you're looking for the best in the business, give Allen a call at 214-681-0234.
For more information about our sponsors and their services, or if you would like information on how you and your business can partner with or sponsor this show, or others like it, just check the show description or comments for the relevant links and contact information. And now back to the show.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to pop up some pictures here, and I think you're going to absolutely love this. So I think I might have got some of that order, so I don't know who sent me which ones, but I just want to share. You guys can just kind of chat about them if they're yours. This is definitely not in America. You can tell that for sure. What are we looking at here?
This was a trip that I went on to Hualtuco, Mexico. Hualtuco is actually a complete hidden gem. It's on the other side of where Cancun would be. So completely other side and down south of Mexico. But it's actually where Oaxaca cheese was created, where mole was created. And everybody knows what mezcal is. So that's also where mezcal was created.
I love mezcal. In fact, I have a bottle at home right now. That reminds me. I have some tonight. Is this also same area?
Also Hualtuco,
What a cool beach! Look at that.
And there's a few cliffs as well.
Where's that?
That's Hualtuco.
Perfect. And this is you having fun. Are you drinking mezcal?
Oh, now that's me in Plano.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Hey, there you go. So you can have fun in Plano too. That's good news.
Yes.
Now this next picture, we talked about this before we went live. You just took this show. You just got back from Croatia.
I just took this picture on Saturday.
Okay, talk about where this is, and then you were talking about what makes this particular waterfall so unique.
Oh, well, this was in Croatia, and it's Krka National Park, and it's obviously famous. It has two waterfalls. This is just one of them. But what was so amazing to me, this is one of the most beautiful waterfalls I've ever seen in my life. It's breathtaking when you walk up. The water's so clear. That's an unedited photo. That is the colors that you see. But as you walk up past the waterfall, it continues. It continues on up. There's more and more and more cascades of waterfalls above it. I wish I'd have sent you the other picture, but there's another cascade that actually has, it's all white, but in the center is bright blue water in the center.
Oh my gosh.
It was
You should send it to me
amazing.
anyways. I'd love to see that. That's awesome.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you. But it was amazing. And this is also Croatia. And this is one of the, I think it may be the most famous beach in Croatia. It's on the island of Bol, B-O-L. And you can see all the people that are packed on that little point, but it comes out like it's actually shaped like a horn. And we were walking along the cliff up there, and I got it from far away. You can see how it goes out to a point, but it was super fun. There was beach bars, like open air beach bars up there. You could go and have a drink. There was music playing. They had food trucks, and it was beautiful.
The water is, I don't know why, but it seems like, I guess some of the West Coast beaches are pretty clear, but all of our East Coast beaches are not clear at all. So I see all exotic beaches from all over the world, and it's like this crystal clear blue-green water, and it's just looked amazing. Okay, where are we looking at here?
It's amazing. Okay, so this is my all-time favorite picture and place I've ever been. It's in Switzerland. I cannot pronounce the name because it's like OOES. I mean, it's super long. But Switzerland, hands down, my favorite country I've ever been to. And this was walking up on a cliff, and this is the view you see. It took my breath away. Like, golly, when people say breathtaking, this was literally breathtaking. Yeah, amazing.
The picture doesn't even do it justice. Mm-mm. And then where's this at here?
Oh, that was Hawaii. So that's so over here close to us, not so far away in Croatia. I think you had asked me like what was one of my favorite places, and I said if I have to pick beaches, I actually love Hawaii. I've been to most of the islands over there. They're all different. They're all special in their own way. And that's me on, I think that was Kona, the big island. So that's where they have the black rocks on a lot of the island there. But I love Hawaii.
Oh my gosh, where's that?
This is Slovenia. And Slovenia, I just got back from Slovenia last month. This actually sits right on top of Croatia. And what's amazing about the country is it's literally everything is this beautiful. So you're right here looking at the Austrian Alps.
This looks like where they filmed The Sound of Music.
Right?
It actually
Slovenia is where they filmed Narnia's.
Really? Okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense, actually. So these are absolutely gorgeous, amazing pictures, guys. I appreciate it so much. So if you saw something that really caught your eye, you can actually go there, and Sherri and Erin will be happy to help you get there in a way that is affordable and a way that fits your pocketbook and your budget. Mm-hmm. That's right. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Hopefully you inspired some people. If they want to get in contact with you, I know we have your contact information. My throat got really dry. And then also, if they don't have any clue where they want to go, they can just call you and say, hey, this is what we like. This is kind of what we're thinking. This is our budget. And you can start throwing some stuff together in that context. I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being on the show today. Appreciate it. Now, next time you come on, Sherri, we're going to have to make sure you can pronounce that Swiss mountain. So
I will go and practice it. I didn't want to murder it.
Call a native, figure out how to do it.
I can do it.
Swiss, I don't know what it's supposed to be, but anyways, thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. Enjoyed it, and I guess I'll see you on Thursday, Miss Sherri.
I will see you then.
All right, y'all have a good.
Yeah, thank you.
So speaking of, if you're not to the place where you can quite travel yet, and you've got to stick around here and endure the heat, there's a couple of options. You can, one, follow ERCOT's regulation and bump your AC up to 80 and sweat to death, or you can produce your own energy and keep your house at whatever you like to. So you might want to have that solar conversation. We've got nobody better to have that conversation with than Juan Scott. Juan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for jumping on with us today. How are you doing?
Nathan, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here, and hopefully I can clear up some of these, common misconceptions and answer some questions that people might be having about, how can I get control over at least one of my bills?
Yeah, exactly. Now, the same question that I asked Sherri and Erin, what is it, because obviously this is a community difference Plano, so we're always talking about Plano. What is your favorite thing about the Plano area, Collin County? What do you like to do for fun, eat, whatever?
Well, obviously I like to eat. You don't get this size by accident.
Hey,
It actually takes a lot
preach,
of work
brother.
to stay this large.
It really does. People don't understand how hard it is.
So Plano, has that kind of urban access to a lot of different flavors, which I'm a big fan of. And also, I have all the markets and shopping opportunities that I would want. I went to culinary school, so I know if I can't find the restaurant that I want to eat, I can just go home and make it myself.
That's pretty nice.
But having Trader Joe's and Central Market, and then also not being far from Carrollton, where there's like a mini Koreatown, it's just an amazing place to go shop and have a little bit of everything. Plano itself has some Indian markets where you can pop in and grab 3 samosas for $4 as a snack, or grab some of that stuff to bring home. Yeah, Patel Brothers, if you've never been there, is fantastic and delicious, and love that place for buying ingredients, and they can give you some kind of foolproof ways of making some of those side dishes that you would want to go out and buy yourself.
That's
but as far as like things that I like to do, I love to fish. I actually keep a fly rod rigged up in my car, and I make use of some of the small, like there's a dog park that has a pond with bluegill and bass in it, and
we've talked about going fishing. We need to do that.
It's a good way. It's a good way to blow off a little bit of steam, and I'll go out there at night sometimes and go fishing.
That's nice.
There's also, I don't know if Bob Woodward Park is the right name, but out in the
Bob
Colony.
Woodruff. Oh, Bob Woodward. Okay.
Yeah,
there's a Bob Woodruff by us in Plano, but maybe you're thinking of a different place.
I'm definitely thinking of a different place. I've probably been to Bob Woodward Park, but the park in the Colony has like a frisbee golf course, which is fun to do. Not so much when it's 105 degrees outside, but there is a creek that runs through it, and that is a fun little like urban fishing spot. So you can pull everything from juvenile bass to all kinds of bluegill and pumpkin seeds and fun little fish like that.
There's no shortage of fishing areas in the North Texas area, but especially in Plano. Little ponds and lakes and creeks like everywhere, it seems like. So,
and if you find the right ones, there's enough shade that you don't melt to death.
That's like how when you pick your golf course, you got to pick your golf course that has the most shade on it. So,
you also got to pick like the earliest possible tee time while Texas is still.
Do you have anything for 3 a.m.? You have a tee time for 3 a.m.?
Yeah, like
when it's only 97.
It'll only be 93. So
glow in the dark ball.
At that point.
That's awesome. Well, I want to get one question in before we go to our last break. What did you do before solar? How did you get into the solar business?
So, like I said, I like to eat, and as a natural extension of that, I actually went to culinary school back in 2003, and I've always kind of been restaurant industry. So I've worn many hats as far as that goes. Everything from busser, server, waiter, bartender, front of house manager, back of house manager, just kind of all of those. You can throw me in a place and I can just run around and fill a bunch of roles. But I my first wait staff job was TGI Fridays in the failing Ridgemar Mall area, where it was just kind of dead. And, there'd be 3 servers working, and then all of a sudden a bus would show up and the place would just fall apart at the seams. And it was good. It's a good experience, and you learn a little something from everywhere, be it how you want to do it or how not to do it. My next role was at On the Border, and I worked there for like another 10 months. And then, I got a wild hair and I moved to Maui for 2 years and worked in some really nice restaurants there.
Yeah.
When you're young and you don't have any kids, or I didn't have my own dog. I don't own a house. Like, it's pretty easy to
That's
pack
the
up
time.
a couple of
That's
bags,
definitely the time.
Put some stuff in storage and bounce.
Yeah.
And back
Good
then,
for you.
back then, cost of living there was actually pretty close to what cost of living here is currently. So it wasn't the hardest thing in the world to make it for a little while.
Yeah.
And I worked for some pretty nice restaurants, so that kind of further piqued my culinary interest. So when I came back, I moved to Austin and went to culinary school in Austin. And when I went, it was a pretty intensive program. So I went for like 8 hours a day, and it was 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then I worked as a waiter in a restaurant, and I used that to pay my bills. So my chefs would give me a hard time for basically working for the enemy at that point. But when I got out, I took like an externship job. It's kind of like an apprenticeship out in West Texas at the Gage Hotel in Marathon. If you've ever been out to Big Bend, like you've probably passed through this area. It's a little boutique, like 40-room hotel, and they had a pretty good restaurant out there. So I worked in that place for like 3.5 years, and then got a little bit more corporate job with Papado, and I was a kitchen manager for Papado for another 10 years after that. And another like restaurant job here or there. But
so how the heck did you get into solar? That's
22 years. 22 years in service industry, and then COVID hit, and it was the perfect time. It's hard to be 40 plus and working in that environment where you're standing on concrete all day. You got to be pretty sturdily built to do that. And I could handle it. I hadn't broken down. I don't have any back problems where, most of my friends have already dropped out at that point. I have guys who can't pick up their kids because they've lifted too many boxes and done too many twists like on a line. So timing was perfect. Had a nice little 7-month, government ordered sabbatical where I got to kind of pick up some hobbies and fish multiple times a week, and I got into sourdough bread baking. And I was just weighing, do I want to do what I know? And I can go back to restaurants where, I get to impact a lot of people on a daily basis. And, I'm providing a service, something that people need. Everybody's always going to need to eat. And, to do that in a positive way and positively impact people on a daily basis is why I like service to begin with. Or I can try something new. And, that human interaction and service industry translates to sales really well, because that's kind of what most of it was based on. And if you're good on
relationships,
if you can, be personable and sell small, you can sell big also.
Yeah. Well, hold that thought
it's
for a
about
second.
dedication.
Hold that thought. I want to hear our last commercial break, and then we'll get back into that kind of your philosophy. But we want to also give time to answer questions that I think a lot of people will have commonly. So let's hit our last break, and then we'll come back and finish the show with Juan Scott.
The Difference Radio, live stream, and podcast. The voice of small businesses and the communities they serve.
Over the last 24 months, The Difference has evolved into a powerful internet media company that helps small businesses and local communities and nonprofit organizations create, produce, broadcast, and distribute a variety of shows, all designed to empower our communities, the businesses, the people, the places, and the events that make our cities, communities, and the folks that live there so very special.
With almost 1.5 million viewers and listeners in the last 2 years, The Difference and its unique strategy of positive impact branding has helped communities and small businesses be seen, be heard, and be remembered.
In a world that is consumed with negative press, media manipulation, and propaganda, The Difference, along with many others who believe in and support The Difference, understand that there is no better way to make the difference in our communities than to highlight the unsung heroes and high achievers that call our towns and communities home. And we wanted to create a platform that does just that. One that brings awareness to and reminds folks of the goodness that lives within so many of us and our neighbors.
And don't forget to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button, and tune in each week so you can experience the difference.
All righty, well, let's get right back into this one. I want to just kind of throw this out there because I think there's probably a lot of misinformation when it comes to solar. What are some of the biggest pieces of misinformation, or just things people think are true that are not, or that are just, I mean, you probably have a litany of those. And so just take it away.
The first thing that I want to dispel is that it's an additional expense. So a lot of people are coming from the thought process that not only are they paying for solar panels, but they're paying for electricity as well. And that's really not the case. This is something that replaces your energy bill because it's kind of like an all-in-one solution. If you look at it from the angle of if you're paying for panels, the panels produce the electricity, you're not being charged twice for that. The only time that that's possible is if maybe the homeowner didn't sign up for or follow the instructions and sign up for what we call a solar buyback plan. And that's when the electric company gives you credit for the energy you're producing and they track that. If they're not doing that, then yes, there's a possibility that they're paying more than they should. But really, that is one of the benefits of our company being so service oriented, and the fact that if I am handling your account, I'm always going to be that person for you. So instead of being a customer service 1-800 number call when you have a problem, it's a call directly to my cell phone where I answer when I'm driving from appointment to appointment, or anytime that I have a second, you shoot me a text, I'm going to get right back to you and be able to work through any situations that you have. But really, that is the biggest thing is there's a misconception on it being expensive. And honestly, it's more expensive to not do anything than it would be to, make that transition over to solar. It's not a purchase where people have to buy everything right now and then wait on, a return on investment. So, I hear that a lot when I'm talking to people and say, oh, well, what's the ROI? And the way that it's structured these days is there really is no ROI because you're not investing to begin with. Right now, people pay a monthly electric bill. You're going to pay a monthly electric bill regardless of where you live and how long you live there. Everywhere you need electricity. Until we get, the fairy dust technology to power our electronics, we're really kind of reliant on the grid and power in general. And this is really just a cheaper way to produce that power. A guaranteed amount of power at a guaranteed rate is really what we do. That's probably the biggest thing.
The advantages would then be at some point you're depending on how many panels you have, you could be producing enough electricity to actually power your whole house, or
yes.
even obviously in the daytime you might be producing more than you need, which means you're putting some back on the grid.
Right.
But either way, what you're paying for your panels you would just look at that like your electricity bill, but it ended up being less eventually.
Correct. And that electricity that goes back to the grid, that's still yours. The entire reason that everybody has been upgraded to the digital smart meter is that those not only monitor when you're consuming power, but they monitor when you're overproducing and that extra electricity goes back into the grid. So your electric company really is just an accounting firm for the most part. They do accounting and marketing. They don't really provide you anything. They just send you a bill, and the difference from company to company is literally like logo and letterhead. None of them are servicing electrical lines. That's all the grids jobs. So, in the Plano area, that's mainly Encore. Some of our colony customers have CoServe as a provider. If you're closer to Louisville, you might be Texas, New Mexico Power. But regardless, everybody is paying that grid provider. They're paying a delivery fee. And it's worded differently on each individual bill, just kind of depending on what company you're working with. They might call it an Encore service charge or a TDU fee or Encore service distribution, but it all boils down to delivery.
The change in kilowatts per hour then between companies is really based on what they decide they want to charge you, like how much
Pretty
profit
much.
how well they're running their company to make a profit. I guess the lower ones maybe are running their company better, and so they can charge their clients less money. But that's really all it comes down to. It's nothing special.
Pretty much. It's all the bureaucracy that you're paying for.
Interesting.
Right now, and that's a great point for me to bring up. We use a lot of tools that are available for the general public. So it's not something that it's a secret. I can log into a website and show you what the current rates are in your zip code. The cheapest that you can sign up as a new customer right now in the Plano area is between 14 and 15 cents a kilowatt. And, if you compare that to what we were looking at even just 12 months ago, you could still sign up at 11 cents. And that's including your distribution charges and everything. And, you're going to pay some local taxes and stuff like that. That's just kind of how that works. But what we're seeing now was a pretty massive jump. Those prices are indexed on a couple of things. The first of which being the price of natural gas in Texas. 40% of our power comes from natural gas. So anytime that price increases, that the wholesale cost of energy is going to increase also. The other thing that's going on is Encore has raised their rates about 3 times in the past year. So what used to be, a slightly cheaper option has increased almost like a full cent per kilowatt. And that's
and they're still probably, they're being affected by inflation like everybody else is.
Correct.
Trucks,
correct. And then
prices, all that stuff.
One of the things that's affecting those Encore rates is that as a result of that storm last year, ERCOT is setting a 20% reserve electricity amount so that we don't teeter so close to our needs that we get hit when there's an unexpected surge in usage. So they have more power plants online with a reserve amount of production available, and then that's what's driving that cost increase in power. So
now, let me ask you.
So I gotta let me jump in real quick, Nathan, because I've got a question for him. Something that I've wondered since Snowmageddon last year. Obviously, the grid that we currently have is not up to date. It's not strong enough. They've already talked about having to improve it, rebuild it, whatever you want to call it. What's that going to do to your kilowatt hour cost when they decide to really, I know they're making some tweaks and changes now, but as we talked about at the beginning of the show, with the population increase within Texas, there's going to have to be a lot of upgrades done to the grid. What's that going to do to your kilowatt hour price? And one of the things I was reading before you answer that, Texas historically has been one of the lowest in the country as far as kilowatt hour pricing. California's been high. Illinois has been high. New York has been high as well. Ours is going to go to those pretty much normal rates. And if you look in some of those areas, they're 23, 24, 25 cents per kilowatt hour. So when we start to rebuild, is that not going to impact what they're charging now?
Oh, it absolutely is. There is not a business that's in business that doesn't pass along their cost to customers. That's just how business works. That's capitalism, like basics. And, to touch on that point, the 24, 25 cents, like we're not far from that right now. The average price that's actually being paid for electricity is 19.5 cents a kilowatt in Texas. What I was telling you earlier was the best possible scenario. And you and I know if you shop for a deal, you'll find a deal, but not everybody's a deal shopper. A lot of people just renew, or they take what is put in front of them because they don't want to put out the effort for that. And honestly, like these free nights and weekends plans or solar this and solar that, like those rates that they're getting are like 23 cents. It's like a Macy's one-day sale where they go and they mark everything up the day before, and then when you go to the sale, that 20% reduction ends up being more expensive than it was at regular price. So that's just something that we're seeing. The rate of inflation for this last year was somewhere around 8 cents, 8%. Sorry, not 8 cents. If everything only went up 8 cents, I'd be pretty happy. But 8% is pretty drastic. So anytime that we can lock in a price at a 2022 rate, and we get to set that pricing for the foreseeable future, then the further we get out from today, the more money that we save. So it's pretty basic. If I can get in and I can reduce your current cost right now for something that you have to have, a commodity that you are required to have to be able to live your life, I guess, unless you're like living in the woods or you want to be a hermit, to live a normal life, then the longer that you have it, the bigger the benefits are.
Right.
So
one of the things that I love, one of the things that I love about solar is the independence and the control you have. I don't want to sit in my home and worry that at 2:00 in the morning, we're going to hit a rolling blackout and I'm going to wake up to 90 degrees inside my house. That's not peace of mind for me.
Yeah. So just to touch on that, with solar, if your power goes out, you're in the same boat as you were right now if you're a TXU customer or whatever. The grid goes down, solar's down also. And the reason for that being is if we were to shut off like an area to do line work, like you have somebody up, repairing a transformer or something like that, and everybody's pumping power back into the grid, without having control of that situation, we run the risk of electrocuting someone. So
Right.
the way basic solar works is the inverter actually has to receive a small charge just to show that like there's current flowing through the electrical grid right now in order for that power to keep working. But thanks to some really cool innovations that have come along in the past year, we're actually able to create like a microgrid at your house where if the power goes out without installing a battery, we're able to continue to power your house. It takes a little bit of additional equipment, but it is way cheaper than it was to, let's say add a $20,000 battery.
Right.
We also, if you're in the right area and you're a mixed gas and electric home, we can pair up something like a Generac generator. So the second that power goes out, let's say snowpocalypse or even here in the middle of the summer, it's an instant on, and there's not a lot of interruption in your life. The second power goes back up, that generator can stop. So making sure that there's fuel in the tank, so that it knows that it's always ready. And
Nathan, you may want to jump in.
Yeah. Hold on. I think we were losing Juan there for just a second. Juan, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you fine.
You're really choppy. I don't know what's going on. That's really strange. Well, that's actually still bad.
Connection in my area.
Yeah, still bad. I don't know. Well, that's really interesting because that's a lot of stuff that I didn't realize. And so, guys, I know we've gone a little long here. I think we need to have Juan back on because we could probably talk a lot more about this and go into some more detail. But what my takeaway really is just have the conversation. If you'll throw up Juan's information one more time for me, Lyndon, reach out to Juan, great guy, obviously, and just have the conversation, right? Just say, hey, what would it look like? Try to wrap your head around because he talks about right here, zero out-of-pocket residential solar, less than what you're currently paying for electricity. So find out, what does that mean? What does that look like for me? What's the process, right? Because as he was talking about, it's going to get more expensive necessarily, unfortunately, unless, some drastic things happen. But it's just a good way of preparing for, keeping the cost controllable by taking some of that into your own hands. And so, we talk about anytime you can take your really solar is kind of a sense of freedom, right? You can take your electricity into your own hands in a sense. And so if you can do that with solar and be able to have some independence and just understand what that's going to do for you and the process therein, that's obviously going to be a really big benefit. So we definitely want to have Juan back on. Thank you so much, Juan. I know we went a little bit long today, but it was very necessary. We'll definitely have Juan back on to talk more about solar. But make sure you reach out to him, at least just have a conversation, come out, and he can survey and kind of see what it would look like in your setup with your house and your neighborhood, et cetera, to get the solar operation going. And obviously, great guy, very relational. He may even take you fishing. Who knows? But thank you so much to Juan. Thank you to Sherri. Thank you to Erin. Thank you guys so much for being on the show today. Hope we enlightened you, brought some value, helped you dream a little bit about some places you can go, but also realize what amazing area that we live in here in Plano, Collin County, in the North Texas area. So from all of us at the Community Difference, from all of our guests today, thank you very much. Have a blessed day, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for tuning into the Community Difference. If you enjoyed the show, take something you learned and apply it in your community or your business in order to make the difference for someone else. Remember, the smallest change begins with a single action, but a single action can make all the difference.
A special thank you to today's amazing guests. Also, if you'd like to be on the show to share your unique story and how it made the difference in your community, please contact Lendon Wilson at lendonw@thedifferenceradio.com. Until next time, this has been The Community Difference in Plano, Texas, hosted by Nathan Smith.